Carrick52 from YouTube says, seeing as horror games are your forte, what makes a great one in your book? Is it atmosphere, characters, imagery, combat, story, something else entirely? I say you must frighten the player with as many harmless things as possible and only resort to actual enemies when absolutely necessary. Please offer your thoughts. In my opinion, I think it depends on what the game is and what it's going for. For example, Five Nights at Freddy's is all about the oppressive atmosphere, and you're just waiting for that thing to go wrong. You're kind of like, and you're looking around the whole time. With Resident Evil, it's more about the monsters. With Silent Hill, it's more about the environments. This is maybe a cop-out answer, but I kind of think that the game has to be good at what it's trying to do. With Silent Hill Shattered Memories, I don't feel that they made a great horror game, but I feel that it did a good job with what it was trying to do as far as telling the story was concerned. So what makes good horror, it depends on what kind of horror you're looking for. Are you looking for the jumps? Are you looking for the, I don't think I'm gonna make it through this room alive? Or what? Like, be good at what you're going for. With Eternal Darkness, it was making the player question whether everything was real, including basic elements of gameplay. Things like that. It varies. It's a weak answer, but it varies. Mr. Album 3256 on YouTube. Anything about your offline life that you'd be comfortable sharing online? Would you share it? Well, I've already expressed that I'm in New Jersey and that I work as a part-time lecturer at a university teaching various essay writing classes to college freshmen. I don't want to get too much into my personal life, though, just because that's the kind of person I am. I'm rather, what's the word? I'm not very forthcoming when it comes to things like that. So, I don't know. I don't tend to get too much into personal stuff. I don't know, sorry, I guess, but I just want to kind of keep that element separate from what I do online. Also, Mr. Album had a lot of questions. At what point do you foresee bringing an end to your channel, or at least to content produced for it? While there's no shortage of games to play and record, do you have a specific condition at which you'll know for certain to leave it behind and move on? At this point, not really. I wouldn't know. I would like to keep going if I could. That's kind of all I can really say about that, unfortunately. Possibly fortunately. What is currently your most requested game? Do you intend to play it at some point? Again, probably Chozo Mythos and maybe Outlast and Resident Evil. And the answer is yes. It's just a matter of when. What's the most difficult thing about running your channel and why? It's not really that difficult. I guess the only thing is, and this is really more about my own personality, but making sure that it's not too long between Let's Plays. I kind of have to give myself a kick in the pants to just get back to recording. Once I start recording, it's super easy to keep going. It's a matter of change that I'm not used to. Like, oh, I have to start something new? Oh boy. So I better just make sure to keep that going and have enough content to be able to upload daily. If I don't, I feel like, I mean, I know it's excusable if I have to miss a day or something, you know, I'm not at home all the time, but I still feel bad. Are you a part of any fan communities or general fandoms? Star Trek Wars, like Star Trek, Star Wars, anime, comics, etc. Would you be comfortable with sharing which ones you're a part of? I mean, I'm a fan of certain things. I like Star Wars, I like a bunch of anime series, I like some comics, although I haven't read them in a long time. I don't know if I'd really call myself part of the fan community, though. Like, I don't get together with a bunch of Star Wars nerds, or I don't get together with a bunch of anime nerds at like Anime Club or whatever. That's not really my thing, especially because everyone's different. Like, the one thing that is similar about you all is that you like that thing. So I don't necessarily want to say that I associate myself with this entire group of people except for the fact that I happen to like that thing that they all like. So not really. I mean, I'll post on forums and things like that where people generally have similar interests, like Spoonie's arcade forum where people talk about video games in general, and even then opinions wildly differ. I mean, we don't call ourselves video game fans or whatever, but I wouldn't say I'm really associated with particular fandoms. Like, you can always find me at the Star Wars fan gathering. Like, not really. I like something, but I don't know if I really call myself part of the fandom. I'm a fan of the thing, though. Does anybody offline know that you run your channel? And if so, what's their general opinion of it? I mean, my friends know that, like, about my channel, and it's kind of a running joke between us, or among us, because, like, I've achieved a modicum of, like, fame online, but, like, I'm not anyone particularly famous or anything. It's just that there's a chance that people might know who I am. So it's like, and I don't mean people I run into, like, on the streets. I mean, like, I have, like, a nice amount of subscribers on the channel, but, they don't really, like, comment on my videos because they can just talk to me in real life anyway, and they don't regularly watch my stuff. They might drop a line every once in a while. I think generally, you know, okay, cool, but they don't really say, oh, I think you should change this, or I think you really do well at this particular thing. They'll point out specific moments in Let's Plays sometimes. That's not really our general topic of conversation. It's not like, oh, whoa, Lotus Prince over here, got big business to take care of. Like, it's not really like that. If anything, the fact that, like, Lotus Prince is kind of a joke among them because it just sounds weird to call that to somebody you know. Do you intend to branch out your channel's content into other types of entertainment, or do you intend to keep it focused on Let's Plays? Yeah, that's a fair question. I mean, of course, I've been doing almost exclusively Let's Plays. I wouldn't mind trying other kinds of entertainment, but that certainly would require a lot more time and effort, meaning when I'm doing one thing, I would have trouble keeping up with the other. I did, like, a Jacob's Ladder review a while back that unfortunately I had to take down from YouTube because it got copyright claimed, but I guess reviews get easier as you do them, but I would have to think of what kind of thing even to do, and then I have to be able to construct the thing to do it. And even then, how would that work? Would I still spend the on-camera portions like this, just kind of chilling in a chair in front of you? Would I do it more skit-based? The answer is no, by the way. I don't do a character. But, like, you know what I mean? How would I construct the thing? I would have to think about it, honestly. At this point, I'm going to stick with what I'm doing. What is your ideal recording equipment, if you have an ideal set? If you don't have it, what are you using right now? I'm satisfied with my microphone. It's a snowball, like a blue snowball, I think it's called. It was gifted to me by, like, a couple of my friends. They chipped in for it. It was really cool of them. As for my HD recording device, I use, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Hauppauge HD PVR Model 1, so it accepts component cables and, not HDMI, it accepts component cables, which is fine with me, because a lot of systems have HDMI, like HDCP or whatever it's called, or HCTP, I don't know, protection, which makes it impossible to record via HDMI. If I were to go for an ideal set, I might go for the Elgatos, because I've heard they're reliable, and something like the Vita TV only uses HDMI, so I might have to go to that at some point. For SD stuff, I use a Dazzle, and it's good enough for me. I haven't really had major problems with it. I might go to an Elgato at that point. I need to do research on it, really. But the Dazzle's been fine so far for just AV cables, and it also accepts S-Video, so it's been fine. Got it for like $50 at a Best Buy a few years ago, and works fine with me. Right. You have mentioned that you were a school teacher in a previous status update. Have you thought to incorporate some form of gamification into your school lessons? Very good question, but no. The classes that I teach do not allow for that kind of thing because I'm teaching students, like what I do is I have a book of essays that I'm given to teach with, so you need to read these two authors' essays and then write an essay on them. So like there's no way I could in any way do game-related things that make sense. The only way I could do anything like that would be there's a kind of class, like instead of 101 it's 201, where you focus on a particular theme and you have the students read a couple of essays on that theme and then they do a research paper on the overall subject of the semester. Like, I remember I used to work at the tutoring center at the school, and one student came to me where her whole semester was humor and different kinds, and like breaking it down and analyzing different types of humor and what makes them work. So there was an idea dabbled around with video games as literature, which I guess would pretty much be a movies as literature course, except with tweaks for video games. If that could ever get off the ground, I would love to do that. But at this time, no, not even in the works. Of all the games I've LP'd, which has been the most enjoyable in gameplay? That's tough. I mean, I don't know if this is my number one, but Lollipop Chainsaw had very enjoyable, like, arcadey kind of gameplay. I very much enjoyed that. God Hand is probably the most technically proficient in terms of gameplay. Not necessarily graphics, but like the way you can customize everything and make your combos all make sense. Most impressive, either technically, Child of Eden, maybe? I don't know. There's probably better than that, but that's tough. Graphically, if it's graphically, I mean, if we're okay with 720p, then again, Child of Eden was quite a spectacle. But if you have to go with 1080, I don't know. I haven't LP'd many 1080 games. Like, there's better out there than what I'm gonna bring up. But like, I remember that Dead Space 2 was 1080, and I LP'd it. Storytelling. Again, Silent Hill Shattered Memories did a damn good job. Never Alone is straight up storytelling. It's tough. Storytelling, because I love a good storytelling. Fragile Dreams did a damn good job. Most thought-provoking. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I mean, games that stuck with me were like Corpse Party. Not that it's so deep, but it just like stuck in my head forever. Something that really gets you thinking. I mean, again, Never Alone did a pretty good job of this, and Never Ending Nightmares. Never Alone regarding what we can do with video games as a medium and how you can transfer or transmit stories from cultures to all over the world. Never Ending Nightmares, because this is what depression is like. Do you understand? And like that, like I hadn't really thought of it like that before, and that the game was very metaphorical with what it did, but it did it well. Which Let's Play of yours is your least favorite? Why? That's tough. Offhand, maybe some of my really older ones where I just handled the Let's Play like it was a really early one, like where my delivery wasn't like it is now, or something like that. As far as a game, though, that's tough to say, because I play what I like and I like what I play. Again, Shattered Memories was kind of a letdown in terms of being a Silent Hill game, even though the story was freaking incredible. But I don't know if I'd call it my least favorite Let's Play, because there were a lot of really cool moments with it, especially the coloring book. I don't know. That's tough. I mean, Vanquish, it got very samey after a while, but its first level was still a freaking spectacle. I don't know. That's tough. You've Let's Played entire series of games in the past, often playing them in chronological order or release date, or within the chronology of the game's storyline. Was that ever a goal when you set out to start your channel? Not really. I wanted to play what I liked, and that's kind of it. When I did Silent Hill, I made like a little status update vlog asking if I should do Silent Hill 1 or 2, because I like 2 more. But should I do 1? Because it's 1? And everyone was like, do 1. So I was like, oh yeah, I might as well do them in order, because otherwise you might be missing out. So no, that was not originally a goal, but it kind of is now. Like, I've held off on some games because I didn't have like their predecessors. Do you have any favorite YouTube channels? If so, why are they your favorites? I mean, I have some YouTube channels I very much like. I've already gone over, you know, the LPers I follow. Angry Joe is a very, very talented reviewer, and he doesn't just do your generic, like, 5 stars. I mean, he does do an out of 10 system, which I'm kind of not a fan of, but he goes into so much detail explaining why he feels a game is worth what it is before he gives the grade at the end, and he makes his reviews entertaining on top of that. I like the Game Theory for its super analytical take on things. I've really come to love Wisecrack. Wisecrack is a channel that has a few sort of sub-shows in it, starting with Thug Notes. Oh my god, I cannot recommend Thug Notes enough. It's like a 5 to 6 minute video detailing, very briefly, but pretty comprehensively actually, the summary of some form of classic literature. and then the analysis, like intense analysis of that literature and like symbolism you may not have understood or like picked up on the first time. He's done all sorts of cool stuff. Seriously, Thug Notes, do it. They also have 8-bit philosophy, talking about general philosophical principles, just showing 8-bit video games to like illustrate them. It's not the philosophy of the games, it's just they have the game characters doing things that make sense regarding what they're talking about. They have this show where like you have this like old style Plan 9 from outer space alien looking guy talking about movies from Earth and analyzing them Thug Note style, except from like a complete outsider, like I'm not even from Earth, so here's what I think of this movie, I guess, perspective, which is pretty cool. And they recently introduced a brand new show talking about psychological disorders that can be found in like literary characters. The first episode was Gollum and how he, from Lord of the Rings, and how he suffers serious obsessive compulsive disorder. That was pretty amusing. So I love that channel. Like that one grew on me like immediately. You Let's Play a mix of recent releases and older games. Was it ever your intention to play more modern games, or did you originally intend to focus on older, or vice versa? I guess I had wanted to do some modern games, it's just that I didn't have the equipment to tackle the PS3 stuff later, so I would say yeah. What do you think of the notion of having a fan base? Has the presence of fans changed your initial approach to the channel? Slightly. I mean, they're like, I'm a little more careful as to what games I play, in that I've gone out and purchased games because I want to complete the series. Like, I should play this game if I've played the ones before it. So it's actually gotten me to cover games I might not have bothered with in my backlog as well, because I thought it would be appropriate. Like Hyper Princess Pitch, which I played last year as a Christmas special. I wouldn't have bothered with that otherwise, but I thought it was pretty cool and, like, timely, so sure. So it's affected me a little bit, but mostly I still keep up the same old logic, which is I play what I like, although I am taking recommendations into consideration. Yes, I seriously will at some point play these games that have been recommended to me, like Chozo Mythos and Folklore and Outlast. Like, I promise I'm going to get to them. What do you think of the notion... I just said that. You have both Blip TV and YouTube versions of your Let's Plays. Have you seen any benefit with this approach to creating Let's Play content? And in your experience, which platform is superior? Well, I no longer have a Blip channel. That's been culled. But when I did... Blip was a lot more liberal, like, in that it's not up your ass with copyright matching IDs all the damn time. On the other hand, Blip videos were more likely to break than YouTube videos were, so I have to re-upload ones that were already put up. Sometimes you click a video and say, oops, this doesn't play. The hell is this? So, so YouTube works, but it's way more just oppressive. But it's not too bad with video games. It's actually been a long time since I've had a copyright match. The last one I had was on like episode 2 of Neverending Nightmares from a company I didn't even freaking recognize, and I appealed it, and it was overturned in like a day, which was pretty cool. The last real problem I've had would be Fragile Dreams. Yeah, the opening and ending themes. It just muted them. Well, I had to mute them, otherwise it muted my whole video, which was just dickish. That was ridiculous. So in my experience, which platform is superior? In terms of keeping things working, I would say YouTube. Also in terms of reaching a crowd. Because with Blip, you kind of have to know who's on there already, and at that point, what's the point? How do you grow an audience that way, other than embedding your site or your videos into other sites? YouTube, you can find me on YouTube. I want to see a Shattered Memories Let's Play. Oh, here's this guy. Like, YouTube handles spreading out a lot better, I think. You've been featured on thatguywiththeglasses.com multiple times. Again, now channelawesome.com. Very recent change. What are your thoughts on your content being featured on a separate website? Have you ever thought to create a website or blog dedicated exclusively to your material? It's pretty cool being featured on a separate website, and that also does help the crowds grow a little more, because that's sort of like a hub website, so people might stumble across me because I'm just on the front page, as opposed to actively looking for me, so that's pretty nice. Have I thought to create my own website? The thoughts cross my mind, but I don't know anything about how that works, so I haven't. The obligatory random question. What do you think of fan fiction? Of yourself or of other properties in general? Never had one of... blah blah blah. Never had one of myself. kind of happy about that, honestly. But fanfiction in general, I mean, there is really good fanfiction out there. I just don't tend to deal with fanfiction because I'm one of those people, ooh, it has to be in canon, so I just kind of don't bother with fanfiction. Again, there's a lot of really good material, but I just kind of don't touch it. You know, it's like football video games. Are they great? Yeah, sure they are. I just don't play them. They're not within my sphere of interest. Okay, those were the questions. So Anton Kishkowski from YouTube. I know that you're a fan of JRPGs and Japanese games in general, so I want to know what your thoughts are on the Shin Megami Tensei series, Persona, Devil Summoner, Digital Devil Saga, blah blah blah, and if you plan on playing one of them. They look pretty cool. I haven't played any of them. Surprisingly, actually, I really should. Do I plan on playing one of them? Well, Let's Playing, no. But I would like to play Personas 3 and 4, because I hear they're amazing. I was about to say gold, but Persona 4 actually has Persona 4 Golden version on Vita. It would be great to see you tackle Devil May Cry HD Collection, since you didn't have an action game in a while besides Binding of Isaac. Devil May Cry is not really my thing. I do own Bayonetta, and I beat it, but like I wouldn't Let's Play those. Those aren't really the games that I'm generally all for. Like, they're kind of fun, but I don't get as technical as something like Devil May Cry would require for, like, triple S rankings or whatever. I just can't get that kind of gameplay through my head. I just kind of button mash. Shiro Dragon from YouTube. I was wondering if you'd ever do a Let's Play of a game that's only found in a portable system. If they had freaking video out, then sure. I actually did do the first 2 Corpse Party games on a borrowed PSP. If I get a Vita TV, that'll open up a whole new level of possibilities. And as a matter of fact, I haven't touched anything on this so far, but I do have a GameCube and a Game Boy player. So I should be able... I'm not 100% sure about Game Boy games, but I should be able to play Game Boy Color and Advance games. And, oh my god, I wish I knew about this when it came out, because I missed those entire libraries, and now boxed copies of Game Boy anything is super expensive. Pain in the ass. Also, I'm a huge Suikoden fan, owning and beating all of the game, except Suikoden 2, because it was sold out everywhere by the time I was going to buy it. Second question, do you think you do Let's Plays of any of the Suikoden games? No, they are JRPGs and they look long, so I don't think so. They do look super fun, though. Rhett Buckley from YouTube. Are you going to do an LP on Overblood for the PS1 or the Resident Evil remake? Yes. Overblood looks freaking hilarious. I played a little bit of it when Vice the Bold introduced it to me. I don't know who I'm going to play that with yet, but I must play that game co-op. Like, you have to see it to believe it. And that's one of those games where it would be way better, like Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, if I had a banter going on over the game. Because it's one thing when I'm playing a funny game, but it's another when I directly get to appreciate someone else's humor while we're playing it. Overblood is hysterical, and it's not supposed to be at all. Shut Up and Jam Gaiden is an intentionally funny game. Overblood is unintentionally funny. And it's just like, you're pointing and laughing the entire time. You're like, are you kidding me with this? You were trying to be serious? Resident Evil Remake, hell yeah. Been over this with the Resident Evil games, I will get there. Summoner Kitty Cat from YouTube. Have you heard or called the tech support number on the back of the manual for Silent Hill Shattered Memories in the game? If you haven't, try. I heard it's funny. Is that like the Konami hotline or whatever? I haven't done it, but I think I know what you're talking about. You reach like a helpline, and they say like, hello, support. Oh, wait a minute. We just realized that you're in Silent Hill. You're beyond even our help. And they just hang up. That is pretty funny. Haven't done it myself, though, but I like that. Shadow Fox III on YouTube. Where do you find the time to play older games for fun when you're making Let's Plays? Doesn't matter what the age is. I have the Let's Play game I'm doing, and I have something else that I'm doing for fun. Sometimes it's older. In fact, the older it is, the more readily accessible it is. I feel like playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 right now. Done with it in a half hour. You know, whole game. There's no save function. Whole game, half hour. No big deal, right? I want to play Streets of Rage 2. 45 minutes, done. So the older the game is, the more likely, if it's on a console, that you can just whale through it. Altered Beast, 20 minutes. Like, I mean, I have to level select. The game's hard as hell, but super short. Oh, yeah, and again, when will we see the Resident Evil series on here? It's coming. JDogV45 YouTube. When will you do Resident Evil? Okay, well, will you ever LP Fear and or Clock Tower? Yes. Don't know when though. I managed to get the Fear collection on Steam. I almost feel bad about that because I have Fear 1, 2, 3 and freaking Perseus Mandate physically, but Extraction Point, I don't know if there's a way to get that physically unless it's on the 360. So Steam it is, and I don't. If it's available for the PC by itself, like a box, I don't know where the hell that would be. I was lucky enough that I found Perseus Mandate. And Clock Tower, yeah, I definitely want to get on that at some point. I have Clock Towers 1 through 3 and Haunting Ground, and I would have to emulate the SNES version because it never made the States. And even if I modded in a Super Nintendo and did it, it's in Japanese, so I'd have to get like a bootleg copy of the game. Which I might do, actually. Of course, I would need a Super Nintendo first. Screw it, I might just emulate it. Or play it on like an EverDrive with Vice or something. Thanks for your time. P.S. Fatal Frame and Corpse Party just got new games this year. Magic 8 says Xseed brings them over in 2015. Fingers crossed. Please. I really do have high hopes of Xseed bringing over Blood Drive, just because that game was mainly brought over because the translator for the game is a super fan. Super fan. He was like, I have to bring this game over. That's why we got Corpse Party 1. And even Book of Shadows. I didn't think we'd get that one. It's like visual novel style. So, love went into that. So I do have, I've got no confirmation on this, but I have high hopes for Blood Drive. Fatal Frame? Yeah, I don't know, man. Nintendo and Tecmo, I don't think, have any news about bringing it over. Why the hell wouldn't they? Just bring the damn game over. If Xseed brings it over, so much the better. They brought over Killer is Dead when that game wasn't going to get over here, so yeah, if you could take over Fatal Frame 5, I'll be your super best friend. Strange Mystic Hippie from YouTube. First, with all the games that you or fans want to play, do you have some kind of list somewhere you don't forget which games are queued up, or do you just remember off the top of your head? Yeah, no, kind of top of my head. So if I forget something, then I guess I feel like a jerk, but I pretty much have down what people want of me. Second, we all know you like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so have you ever made a stand for yourself, even if it's just a name or completely unbalanced? Because let's face it, if given the option to give yourself a superpower, wouldn't you make it OP as heck? That's a good question, actually. No, I have not. Now, I mean, in real life, wouldn't I like the most powerful thing? Yeah, of course. But if it were, in the show or whatever, I wouldn't want it to be OP because that'll make it boring. It's like, oh no, there's more trouble. Oh no, the enemy's even tougher than I thought. Guess I'd better use my god powers. Conflict over. It's like, if I were to have a stand for myself, God knows what it would be. If I wanted to keep up the musical references, though, who knows? Maybe something named after Suzumi Hirasawa. He's got some kick-ass music that I've featured in some of my videos. He did the music for Berserk, the anime series, as well as, I think, for the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 versions of the game. I don't know if he did the entire soundtracks, but I promise that he did Forces 2 for the Dreamcast game and Sign for the PS2 game. Those were awesome. He's also done the soundtrack for Paprika, which I actually have not seen, but from what I hear, super good movie. He's also done, just he's been doing music in general for something insane, 30 or I don't know about 40 years. I don't know if he was in the 70s or not, but I think 30 years. He's got some amazing songs. Just look up Big Brother by P Model, the letter P hyphen model, just Big Brother. Look it up. Look up Island Door. There's 2 mixes of that. I actually used Island Door Parnesian Circle mix in the video where I was installing Atlas Madness Returns before the Let's Play started. Look up, by coincidence, Lotus. His remixes tend to be numbered, so there's Lotus, and then the remix is Lotus 2. There's also SimCity 2, and again, of course, the original SimCity. There's Solar Ray. I particularly enjoy Solar Ray 2. He's done entire remix albums. It kind of interests me, because usually other artists would remix someone else's work. He remixes his own work. He's done 3 versions, I think, of Aurora, and I've heard I might have heard the third version. I know I've heard 2 versions. Like, this guy's killer. Like, how do you get this good? Like, he's been making music for like 3 decades, and it's all good. Like, how the hell? How the hell? So yeah, look that stuff up. You can easily find the tracks on YouTube. Okay, Michael Uhas from YouTube. What got you interested in horror video games? I kind of touched this one with Resident Evil. And what's your favorite horror movie? Probably The Thing from 1982, the John Carpenter one. It's very well handled. It's not blah, like all the time, like so many horror movies are. This one is a very slow build. The general idea of The Thing is that it's this alien creature that'll kill a person or an animal and take its form and try to blend in with everyone else and very slowly pick apart people one by one. The thing is, it seems to be almost like a microbe, because multiple people can have it like in their blood, and by that time it's too late. So it gets to a point where none of the characters in the movie trust each other, because you could be the thing, and hell, you think that maybe I could be the thing. I swear I'm not, but why should you believe me? Why should I believe you? And it gets to like really intense logic to figure some of this stuff out. Like, there's a part where the main character, played by Kurt Russell, who also may or may not be the thing, we'll see, he has like 3 or 4 other guys standing around him. And the problem with the thing still exists. So he's like, alright, I know at least one of you is the thing, but I also know that all of you are not the thing. Because if you were, you would just attack me right now. Therefore, some of you are still good. I don't know how many, though. Like, it's really interesting stuff like that. And what makes it all the more exciting is this isn't like Friday the 13th, where we get, like, killer cam. So you have the camper walking into the building, and you're sitting there in the theater, no, don't go in there, that's where the killer is. Like, no, we're just as in the dark as the main characters. We do not know who to trust. So it's amazing. Like, the first time you're watching the movie, it's crazy. You have no idea. And the special effects are so good. They're practical effects. There's one part where they're doing an autopsy on someone, and the guy, like, goes for a defibrillator or something. Maybe it wasn't an autopsy then, because the defibrillator made no sense. All of a sudden, because the thing can manipulate itself however it likes, so you never know where it's going to go, the stomach, where the defibrillator's going to go, just opens. It's just like, whoop, opens a hole, so the guy's hands go like, what? And he goes too far, he goes in. Then the hole grows teeth, closes on the guy's wrists, which means he's infected now, so you're going to have to kill him too. So he's flipping out. Then the head of the body just gets all disgusting, and like the sinew of the neck like snaps off, and the head just falls to the ground, grows legs, stands up like a spider, scuttles away. It's like, I think one of the actual lines in the movie when he saw it, just looking at them, was, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, it's like the perfect reaction. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
And it's not trying to attack, it's trying to skulk away, which is what I like about the thing. It's not like in the remake, where it's like, ah, you cut me. Ah! Like, no, it's actually trying to sneak away and take things very slowly and deliberately. It's amazing. And it's terrifying. Like, conceptually, it's like, oh my god, like, what do you do? The most iconic scene in the entire movie is when they're doing a blood test to see who the thing is and who it isn't. The suspense is through the roof, and when the person finally is outed, it's mayhem, because one of the characters tied all the other characters together on a bench, and this thing's just like, you found me, and like it stands up, and it, like, when it stands up, it takes the bench and the 2 other people sitting on it with him. It's like, oh my god, like, it's crazy. You gotta see it. Oh, it's so good. Okay. Blizzard 1942 from YouTube. You think you could do a one-off of Philosoma for the PS1 in the future? Never heard of it. I guess I could look into it, though, so thanks for the shout-out. Miss Velve, YouTube. Since there's already been a question if you're going to LP Resident Evil series, I would like to know what you think about PT if you play the demo. I've been over this one already. And the trailer for Silent Hills. I have intentionally avoided the trailer. Like, no spoilers, no nothing. Usually, it's come to the point where I try to do that because I don't want to give anything away, really. This is why I don't play demos, because now you've given away the first level. Like, I avoided the demo of Lollipop Chainsaw at PAX East because I knew I was going to LP the game, and therefore I'd be like, well, I played this level already, so we'll get to the next one. I've heard many voices complaining about it, and I wonder what's your opinion about it. The only thing I know about the trailer for Silent Hills is the only thing that the internet's been flipping out about. Norman Reedus is the main character. Norman Reedus is the guy who plays Daryl on The Walking Dead, apparently one of the more popular characters. Now, I don't care that Norman Reedus is doing a role. You know, it's called voice acting. Famous people voice act. My problem is that the character is modeled after Norman Reedus. So I'm playing the game, and when I play Silent Hills, I'm going to say I'm playing as the guy from Walking Dead. It's going to feel weird. Now, I know that James Sunderland was actually modeled after his voice actor Guy Seehee, but no one had heard of him at the time. So I wasn't playing Silent Hill 2 and going like, is that Guy Seehee? But with Silent Hills, Norman Reedus was a well-known celebrity before even going in. So I'm just gonna be playing as Norman Reedus. It's gonna be weird. Like, I'm playing as an actor. Like, it's gonna just dissociate me from the game a little bit. Otherwise, can't speak for anything about the trailer. Shinji Ikari from YouTube. I know I've mentioned this several times already, but I would love to see an LP for Lunar Silver Star, or Silver Star Story Complete, and or Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete. Both of them, I believe, have a Saturn or Sega CD version and PS1 version. The PS1 version has animated anime-style cutscenes with some other shiny bells and whistles, but from what I've heard, the Sega version's only FMV cutscenes, but also don't have recolored enemies to deal with. I grew up seeing the complete versions for PS1, but I think for LP's sake, the Sega versions would be better, since you don't have to mess with recycled enemy encounters. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I don't know if I'd be playing these, because number one, I don't own them, and they're kind of expensive, and number two, JRPG, generally long. I would have to gauge how long they are before tackling them. I only tend to do RPGs very rarely if I know that it's not going to take forever. Another good RPG from what I've heard people talking about is Super Mario RPG. Do you think you'd be able to track down and play either of these at some point? Well, as a matter of fact, even though I said I don't have a Super Nintendo, I eventually plan on getting one, so I do have, I don't know if you could see it, but I have some Super Nintendo games. Dino City, because I thought it'd be hilarious, and I would get John Tron's autograph. I can't believe I forgot to mention this. John Tron's another YouTube personality I really love following. His stuff is hysterical. Donkey Kong Country 1, Mr. Quest, and yes, Super Mario RPG. I actually found a not-for-resale box version. That was lucky of me, because the game cost about as much as I thought a regular version would cost. That game is freaking amazing. I don't know if I would LP it, though, because there are points in the game where you really should stop and just go and fight enemies and level up. Whereas, like Fragile Dreams, and Charles Barkley showed up in Jam Gaiden, the leveling up process was so natural that wherever you were at about what power level you should be. So I don't know if I would actually LP Mario RPG, but I freaking love that game. I played it on actual Super Nintendo in middle school at my friend's place, and I beat the piss out of it in college. I played through it repeatedly on an emulator, because I could use the speed up function. Oh, I wrecked that game something fierce. I used save states to get that stupid jumpsuit. There's no way I could do that without save states. Getting 100 super jump combo, it's not going to happen. I can't do that. Mr. Benton from ChannelAwesome.com. How about you do an Alan Wake Let's Play? I actually like that game. Yeah, I would like to do that at some point. I bought it on GOG, so I have the PC version. I'm not 100% sure if my PC could handle it. Maybe it could, because it could handle Deus Ex Human Revolution. I'll have to see. The good news is I hear the PC version is actually a little bit superior in terms of like the HUD. I think you can make it like a little less oppressive. Last question. Christine Ford from YouTube. Favorite Let's Play so far? Kind of touched this one already. Do I do blind LPs? Yes. Like everything I've done for the PS3 that I can think of has been blind. Like I played like 2 levels of Child of Eden, but other than that, I think like everything I've done for the PS3 has been blind. Corpse Party was half blind. Book of Shadows was all blind. Fatal Frame 3 and 4 were blind. PS2. Fatal Frame. Well, I've done a lot of stuff blind, is my point. Silent Hill Shattered Memories was blind, Homecoming, Downpour blind. I've done a lot of blind LPs. I don't really announce that they're blind anymore. I did that with Fatal Frame 3 because it was actually my first blind LP, but I don't really announce them so much anymore. I actually like to do blind LPs because my reactions are more genuine, although I have had people tell me that they prefer, not all of them, but I've had some people tell me they prefer my knowledgeable LPs because I can cover everything like professionally, like Deus Ex 1. And finally, last question from the same person, top 5 horror games. I don't know if I could give you a top 5, but Eternal Darkness and Silent Hill 2 constantly compete for number 1, so they're number 1 and 2 in no particular order. I also really like Fatal Frame 1 and 2. I might have a bit more of a nostalgia for 1, but both are freaking great. Because Fatal Frame 1 has that oppressive, like, trapped in the mansion feel. See also Resident Evil 1. Although, I'll say I think I like Resident Evil 2 the best out of all the Resident Evil games. Although Remake I think is a better game, but I like Resident Evil 2 more. But Remake is crazy good. I don't know if that's really 5. That might have been like 4-ish, but yeah. I don't know if I have like a top 5 list really. I'm trying to glance over my horror titles, which is why I'm just totally not making eye contact here. But yeah, that's about what I can do for now, probably. There might be some other things, but I'm not really thinking of them off the top of my head. I don't know if I put Undying, Clive Barker's Undying, in the top list, but it's really good. Okay, yeah, so those are my questions. Hopefully I have answered them to an adequate degree. This was a lot more than my first Q&A. This is well over an hour, so this has been actually a lot of fun, and it's gotten me to really think critically about things that I might not otherwise have. Some of these answers weren't as easy to come up with as I thought. Like, what's your first and last name? Boom. Like, some of these I actually really had to think about. So, thank you for these thought-provoking questions, and hopefully I was able to enlighten you in one degree or another. So this has been a lot of fun. Coming up next, my 75th LP. I will try getting a next reveal about that very soon. I would like to make it timely for a very particular reason. Until next time, everyone.